Hello, hello. Are you hating yourself in this moment? Grab a glass of water, tea, and let's have a conversation. So, can I ask you a couple of questions? Give a little pause so you can have an opportunity to answer. And if you need more time, pause the video. You can either speak them out loud or write them down. So, what is the evidence that you hate yourself? Okay. So, when we hate ourselves, sometimes it could be because we have done something or not done something that usually has a negative consequence, or we expected to have done something so that we could feel a certain way, or the way we look. We might hate, for instance, the way we look, and we catch ourselves in the mirror and say to ourselves, I hate myself, either because we don't look good, or because we've made a mistake, or because we've done something that we're not proud of. Or because we should have done something and we are not doing. There's some sort of negative judgment. Have sips of water as you go along. So, is this feeling of hate, obviously it could be something you've done, something now or in the past, near or a long time ago, or something one keeps on doing. So, is this thought, or is this label that we're putting on ourselves, hating ourselves, is this based on fact or feeling? It means we actually have real facts that we hate ourselves, or it's just based on a feeling, the way we're feeling in this moment. More often than not will be based on the way we are feeling in each given moment. We just feel hate and then we put a label. Let's have another sip. And imagine you are in a courtroom and you are going to defend the case against. Can I bring the evidence? So, you know why you hate yourself. Because you've done or did not do certain things that you expected. Or because you looked yourself in the mirror and you didn't look the way you look at yourself and the way you felt. So what's the evidence against? Meaning if you hate, so what would be the opposite? Love or acceptance. Okay, or liking. So what's the evidence that you, let's start with the minimum and then we can increase. What's the evidence that you accept yourself, that or and like yourself, or and love yourself, or and appreciate yourself? What's the evidence in favor? That's right, there are moments where we actually are okay with ourselves. There are moments that we like ourselves. There are moments that we love ourselves. There are moments that we appreciate ourselves. So we have evidence that there are moments where we don't like, but also there is evidence there are moments that we do like and approve and accept, even feel good and proud of ourselves. There are moments in our existence that we like ourselves, that we love ourselves. Now, if that doesn't resonate with you at all, and you've got an history of hating yourself, and that is affecting your health, physically, mentally, emotionally, your relationships, your work, do seek help so you can be fully supported. Speak with your doctor so you can be fully supported. For those moments of hate that we can manage and just work them through, let's continue to have sips of water. Now, for this thing that we are hating ourselves, if a friend did exactly the same or felt exactly the same, what would we say to a friend? What would you say to a friend that was feeling hate right now, that hated herself or himself right now? What would you say to a friend? That's right. We would offer compassion and love and support and encouragement. We'd say to our friends, don't be so hard on yourself. It's natural at times we don't feel so good, and we can have those moments, but those moments do pass. No one is perfect. No one gets it right all of the time. Sometimes we can do things that is not good, but we can learn from our mistakes. We can forgive ourselves. We can do differently. We can ask for forgiveness. We can learn to solve our problems. We can ask help. There are solutions. Don't worry about it. This too shall pass. This is normal. Your thoughts and feelings are valid. I understand this is hard for you, but don't worry, you'll get through this. So when a friend has a challenge, we tend to be, at least when we are feeling good, we tend to be supportive, compassionate, loving, encouraging, rational, and we see the humanity in them. So let's bring that humanity into us, to us. Close your nostrils. Close one nostril, close your eyes and exhale. Close the opposite nostril and exhale. Notice your breath. What is it in this moment? So on your chest, on your belly. Just become aware of your breathing. And see if you can allow your breath to come into the nose. Feel your belly. And then your belly empties as you exhale. Take a slow deep breath in and a slow breath out. Obviously, when we hate ourselves, it's because something is at stake, something matters. So, why does this matter? Why is this important? Why is this so important? Sometimes we can be harsh on ourselves as a way of coaching and encouraging ourselves to behave differently, better, using a punishment as a way to encourage ourselves to take action. For instance, if we look ourselves in the mirror and we look terrible and we say, I hate myself, it might be a way, why is this so important? Because I want to look good, because I want to feel good. So it's that punishing to encourage ourselves to look after ourselves a bit better. Or perhaps to remind ourselves not to do or engage in a certain behavior, or to engage in a certain behavior, is using a stick to get us to move in the direction that we prefer, instead of using negative reinforcement. The downside of that is that it doesn't feel good. And when we don't feel good, we don't engage in behaviors that feel good, or that are healthy or pro-social or productive. We just tend to withdraw. And then, more often than not, we might end up trying to soothe those feelings, or dampen those feelings, or bring those feelings down by eating or drinking or taking drugs, or doing something, or binging on the internet or TV, or shopping, or any form of addiction to make us feel better. Close the eyes. Take a slow deep breath into the belly and slowly out. Breathe in. Breathe out. So if we know why something is important, is that a better way of achieving that? So if it is that we live or engage in behaviors more in line with our values, or that we feel better, how can we go about achieving this goal, this thing that is important in a way that is healthy, that is balanced, that is in line with our values, instead of beating ourselves up? Okay, if I want to look better and feel better, in what way can I do that? Instead of just beating myself up. Okay, it's time to look after myself. It's time to find the balance. It's time to look after myself physically by making sure I get sufficient quality sleep. Reduce my stress levels. Manage and reduce the stress levels so that I can feel better and sleep better. Do the best that I can to engage in pro-social quality interactions so I feel connected instead of isolated. Eating healthily so my body has the nutrients that it needs to make the neurotransmitters that it needs to make me feel relaxed and good and happy. Staying hydrated so every single cell of my body can feel better and heal. Have movement so my body can be supported and have oxygen and fresh air so that I can feel better. Engage in activities that are meaningful and give me satisfaction and enjoyment, and I feel good and proud. Problem solving, taking small steps to resolving the problems that affects me on a daily basis so that I can feel less stressed. Taking time in nature so that I can recharge. So we can go about it finding solutions to to achieve that is important to us, or being aware of my vulnerabilities so that I can take steps to minimize, to avoid doing or saying something that I might regret or feel guilty or feel shame, or learning about it, how to solve it. Or learning about forgiveness and letting go of the past and the things I might have done in the past that I might not feel so good about it. Or speaking with a health professional so that I can be fully supported on the areas that I need, that I'm struggling and other people wouldn't be able to support. So there are healthy, balanced, productive ways of finding solutions for the things that we are struggling with. There are other people that are experts. And having that unconditional positive regard, despite what we might do, have that compassion, learn from our mistakes, forgive ourselves and ask for forgiveness, and then do the best we can by finding the resources and the support to help us along the way. So we turn the hate into a lesson, into forgiveness, into acceptance, into love, into appreciation. And who knows, even inspire others that are going through the same journey, but are on different steps of the journey. We learn from others, and then we help others. So if something it is important, of course it is important. So how can we achieve this goal in a different way, in a way that is healthy and balanced? Close the eyes for the moment. Take a slow, deep breath into the belly. And slowly out. Breathe in. Pause. Breathe 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 out. If we looked at this feeling of hate in 6 months' time, or a year time, or 5 years' time, sometime in the future, what would we say to ourselves? What would you say to yourself? We could encourage, if something is very serious, we could encourage ourselves to seek help by speaking with a doctor, for instance, or a professional, or with someone that knows the solution or is an expert in the area that we are struggling, so that we could have their insight, their support, their coaching. That's one way of finding solutions. We could go about it learning ourselves so that we could find the solutions as we go along. We could even tell ourselves, don't worry about it. This is only temporarily, this shall pass. You can even say when you can, address it, cope to the best of your ability, and when you're feeling too weak or too vulnerable or struggling to manage yourself, remove yourself from the situation, or have the courage to look yourself in the mirror and ask for forgiveness, or just to have the conversation and just say, okay, I'm going to ask myself in the mirror, why Why do I feel? Why do I hate myself? Why? And then just allow the tears to come up if they need to come up. And just cry the loss of the person that we are not being, that we are not, that we were not. Just cry that loss. And cry the struggle. So that we can move into acceptance and just feel, yes, this is hard and I don't like this feeling, but I can tolerate it. I don't need to like it, but I can tolerate it. And I'm going to be okay. It doesn't feel good, but I'm going to be okay. Just a feeling, and it can be a very intense feeling, but I'll be okay. And if you need support to move through the intense feelings, you can also have the choice and the option to speak with a health professional so they can be fully supported. So when we look back, we could say to ourselves, that was hard, but you did go through, and you learned some skills, and you became more resilient as a result. And some things got better, and good things came out of it. And as a result of addressing the issue, you now love yourself even more. So when we look back, often we can look at the situation that was a struggle, and then we are able, yes, to recognize the losses and the negatives. But if we focus our mind, we can also find things that were neutral, things that were positive. Close the eyes. Take a slow, deep breath into the belly. And slowly out. Breathe in. Breathe out. And if you can look from the future back into this moment and give ourselves some words of advice, we can also look at the bigger perspective. For instance, yes, one perspective in one moment in time is that we might hate ourselves. But we can also look at the different perspectives, where moments where we did like ourselves in a different time, in a different period, in a different day, in a different season. And if it happened before, it can happen again. And we can look at sometimes we are looking after ourselves in the areas that are important by doing things that support us physically, mentally, emotionally, relationally, spiritually, so that our moments and that our things we are doing in each given day, we might not have all balanced and perfect and meet the standard that is high, but there are moments where we tick the boxes. There are moments that we look after ourselves, our sleep, our food, our hydration. We might not get it right all of the time, but there are moments, there are sometimes where we do. So by looking at that big picture, we're not so harsh and heavy on ourselves. Yes, we prefer to be perfect and tick all the boxes, but is that a realistic standard? Is that a standard that we can cope under all circumstances, especially when we are stressed and struggling? Take a slow, deep breath into the belly and slowly out. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Are you still hating yourself as much? Hopefully not. What about the standards that we put on ourselves and others? Are they the same? Do we have the same standards, meaning we expect things out of ourselves differently from what we expect from others? That can, for instance, sometimes we expect high standards of ourselves, but we are more flexible and tolerant towards others. And depending on the relationship, it might be higher or lower. And sometimes it's the other way around. We expect high things from others, but we are more tolerant and flexible for ourselves. So those standards, are they perfectionist and unrealistic? Or can we look at standards that we can cope with, that we can manage, that are realistic for each given moment? Close the eyes. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. So, are you hating yourself a little more or hating yourself a little less right now? Hopefully a little less. Hopefully you can see that while we acknowledge that at times we do get things wrong or we're not where we prefer, there are moments where we are neutral and positive and do the things that we like, that we prefer, that we feel good and proud, that we like ourselves, that we love ourselves. We are human beings, and no human being ever gets it right all of the time. It's just using that compassion in the moment. Okay, it's just a feeling does pass. And I am going to find ways to solve this, to address this in a way that is in line with my values, the person I want to be, the life I want to live. Bit by bit, one step at a time. And when I fall, I'll be compassionate and forgive myself. And I'll take perspective. Before one can master something, sometimes we get it wrong. We practice, get better and stronger. Then we go back on the saddle, try again. So, you are good enough, lovable enough, beautiful enough, smart enough, intelligent enough. Now I'd like you to say those things to yourself. Close your eyes and say, I am good enough, beautiful enough, smart enough, intelligent enough. Now we can take steps to improve any area that we might prefer and want and wish. And it's always good to grow and expand, and that's just within our natural desire as human beings and as a species. But let's not beat ourselves up when we're not there. Let's guide and encourage and be compassionate and loving in those moments that we struggle to see ourselves there, when we doubt ourselves. Just a moment of imbalance, just a feeling. Feelings pass. And then learn from our experiences and do differently. And taking those small steps that we can manage in each given moment. Okay, we can look ourselves in the mirror and just go, okay, I'm sorry I didn't look after yourself as I would prefer. But I'm going to take a little small step today in this moment, the way that I can manage. And when I can do better, I'll take another one. And if I struggle beyond the point where I cannot help myself, then I'll have the courage to ask for help. Because today I might ask for help, tomorrow I'll be stronger. And when I'm stronger, I can help others too. We are all connected to each other. So the world is richer and better because we look after each other. You'll be okay. Don't worry if sometimes you don't feel as good. That is all natural and part of the human experience. Sooner than you think, you'll be feeling good again. And you'll be saying, I love myself. May those moments of struggle be short and be seated by something that comforts your heart, that soothes your soul, that quietens the mind. And if you got too much momentum, take yourself into nature, get some sleep, connect with others, connect with the world at large in a way that you feel safe, a step at a time. It's a journey, but bit by bit, you'll get there. Just a moment. And when you think that no one loves you, it's not true. Don't believe those thoughts. There's a high energy that always loves us. Always. There's an energy that gives us worlds, and you can believe that being from the universe, or God, or the angels, or the Virgin Mary, or any other religious things that you might believe or not believe. Regardless if you believe or not, something is giving us life in this moment. Something is healing our body, at least parts of our body in this moment. So that is some form of love. And there are others that see our worth and value, and see the worth and value in humans in general. All humans that are loving and compassionate people, and that are health professionals that want to help, and people that are interested in self-development, and counselors and psychologists that want to help other human beings because they just see their worth, their value, and they have positive, unconditional regard. So you're not alone. People can see the goodness in you. And sometimes when we hate ourselves, and if we'd ask a caring, loving person, they probably would say, you're just being harsh on yourself, you're being hard on yourself. You'll be okay. And if you'd ask a professional, they would say, okay, this is natural to happen. Here's a couple of solutions and strategies they can use to help you solve this problem. And if you'd ask a positive and encouraging person, you'd get an advice such as, you'll get there. You'll be okay. This will make you stronger because you'll learn the resources and the skills to cope with it. And you're stronger than you think you are. Yes, there's always someone that is negative and judgmental and puts down, but usually that comes to a place of disconnected And yeah, yes, at times we are disconnected and it doesn't bring the best in us. But all human beings are at times connected. At least most human beings are. So, what would you say to a friend, and what would others say? And often someone that cares for you and likes you and loves you. Either could be a friend or a relative or a neighbor or someone that is part of an organization. So we can help. The best thing is that we can see our worth and value. But if that's too hard to get there, then we can see through the eyes of others. Because often others see the goodness in us and our skills and values and aptitudes and abilities that we don't see in ourselves because we take them for granted. So that we can start liking ourselves a little more and seeing some of the goodness in ourselves. And the perspective that sometimes, yes, we might not get it right, but sometimes we do get it right. Close the eyes. Take a slow deep breath into the belly. And slowly out. Breathe in. Breathe out. And if at any given moment you feel I don't have anyone that would give me the words of encouragement or support or love or compassion, do you think about either real or fictitious, past or present, or made someone up in your mind? For instance, you could imagine if you were in the presence of Mother Teresa or Jesus, which naturally have a compassionate, they are humanitarians and they want to help others. If you're in their presence, what would they say to you? Or if you have a superhero that you've seen in a book, or a film, or in a story, in a legend, what would that superhero say to you? Because when you're stuck on just one perspective, a perspective of the moment, of the feeling of the moment, our mind is fixated on one thought, I hate myself. But when we get different perspectives, then we start relaxing, we start widening our vision, and our thoughts and feelings will end up following through. And we're taking things in a broader perspective. So we're not so harsh, so we're more balanced. Close the eyes. Take a slow deep breath into the belly. And slowly out. Let's repeat these words. I love and approve and accept myself, even though I'm not perfect, even though sometimes I get it wrong, even though I make mistakes, even though sometimes I am on my darkness, even though I don't look good or feel good, I'm still going to choose to love myself, choose to be compassionate with myself, choose to love myself despite of, in spite of. Doesn't matter the conditions, doesn't matter what I've done, I'm still going to choose to love myself. Doesn't matter what others think or do, I'm still going to choose to love myself. Doesn't matter how the others see me, I'm going to still choose to love myself. I'm going to learn my lessons to the best I can. And even if I keep on falling short, I'm going to still choose to love myself. I'm not perfect, and I accept that. But I'm going to continue to use my lessons to the best of my ability and choose to love myself. And if I need, I'll ask for help. Breathe in. Breathe out. I'm pure positive energy. Breathe in. Breathe out. I am a human being, and all human beings get it right and wrong at times. But I can learn from my mistakes and keep on directing myself towards the path where I live my values, which is in line with the person I want to be and the life I want to live, that brings the best out of me. I choose the middle road. I choose balance. I choose compassion. I choose love. I choose health. I choose well-being. I choose forgiveness. I choose acceptance. I choose pure positive energy. I can do this. Breathe in. Breathe out. I sincerely hope that you are feeling a little bit better. Just rate what you are feeling, and hopefully spin a little turn towards neutral or positive. You'll be okay. Love from my heart. Big hug.